What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Lucas Hill, here of the College Football Night. For tuning in for what should be a very, very special show today. A very interesting show we have going on today, currently in the world of college football. There's a lot to talk about, guys. There really is. There's a lot that you guys need to get into. There's a lot that we need to get into. There's a lot that people are really not paying attention to. Because when you look at the world of college football, where it is now, it's flipped up on its head. It's rivalry week. It's a brand new season for a lot of teams. A lot of teams are playing spoiler. That's what it's been for about the month of November. It's been spoilers. And guys, it's awesome to see stuff like that. But guys, before we begin, I have a huge announcement that I want to share with you all. So I decided to make an investment. I decided to take a chance and buy a subscription with StreamYard. So now we have a brand new set that we're going to have. Now I can enhance my videos a lot more. I can enhance my streams a lot more. And guys, I'm really intrigued and really excited to get to share this with y'all. Like not even lying to y'all. This is going to be a lot of fun down the stretch. A lot of fun. Guys, I'm really excited for what we have in store for all of you. Guys, it's going to be a very fun few weeks, getting to experience this all with you and getting to show you all what it is and what we have in store for y'all. Guys, let's take a look at the top 25 that was released yesterday from the college football playoff top 25. Guys, we have a lot to break down right now that we see the CFP. As of right now, there is a lot that we do need to think about and really take a look at as we get closer to the end of the year. We really do. We really do. I mean, it's unbelievable with what we're seeing right now. And it shocks me that we're seeing this. So let's take a look at the bracket. As soon as I can get this thing pulled up. Guys, y'all are going ham in the comment section on my post. Let me in on the show with him. We need to talk SEC bias. If anything, there's bias against the SEC right now. Alabama still with a chance is biased. Let's drop the gloves. Oh, my God. Micah. Take a look at your text messages, dude. Like, not even lying to you. Like, take a look at your text. I have texted you to get on the show. So get your ass on here. For real, get your ass on here. I mean, hey, here we are. Let's go ahead and take a look at what the 12 team would look like. This is all according out to the college football playoff that was released yesterday. Boom, here we go. We got Oregon still at that 1 seed, followed by Texas, Miami, BYU. For some reason, I don't know how, Boise State still at that 4 seed, which is crazy to me. This is what we get. This is the thing of what we're going to get, is because Boise State's going to have to either play BYU or Ohio State. I don't know why. If I'm the committee, I'm putting Arizona State above BYU. That's what my thing is. Why are we so prejudiced towards BYU? Or I said BYU. Why are we so prejudiced towards Arizona State? Why are we? It makes no sense. Ole Miss. Hold on. I don't know if this is quite accurate. I don't even know if this is the one. So that's my bad, ladies and gentlemen. But no, I mean, here's what you got. Here's what you got. So, obviously, Alabama, BYU, and Ole Miss are the top three falling out. All right. As they should. So, right now, when I look at the college football playoff top 25, there's obviously a lot of misconception about teams like Arizona State, like South Carolina. Those are guys that are on the outside looking in right now, which absolutely sucks because I have a lot of respect for those teams. I do. I really do. As much as people don't like to see those teams enter the top 25, as much as people don't like to see the Big 12 have their bias, guys, this is what we're this is what we decide. So let's take a look at the top 25 right now. Guys, we could be very much so looking at a top 25 team making it into, or a 3-loss team into the top 12. The scenarios are still out there. Let me just say, the scenarios are still out there. South Carolina has a good shot. Alabama, Ole Miss, those guys aren't out. I can tell you right now, they're not. They're going to need a lot of help, but I can tell you this. They're not out of the CFP. People are going to say, oh, that's just SEC bias. If it was SEC bias, the history wouldn't show for it. But yeah, Chris Phillips will be on here in about 15 minutes or so and talk some college football. But no, here's the top 12 from when we look at it now. And this is all coming from YouTube, by the way, so don't copyright. But no, this is the image. I'm not going to play the video. Oregon at number 1, Texas at the 2 seed, Miami and Boise State for some reasons at that 4 seed. Their record, though, just doesn't – they don't have the record. They don't have it. As much as people don't want to hear it, they don't. Ohio State at that 5 seed, followed by Penn State, Notre Dame, Georgia at the 8 seed, Tennessee at the 9, SMU at the 10, Indiana at that 11 seed, and then Arizona State would round out the 12 seed. Dude, Arizona State to me has a better chance of getting in the top 12 than what we have right now with Boise State. And at the end of the day, guys, this is all to cater towards G5 schools. As much as y'all don't want to hear it, that is the truth. Y'all don't like it because of the G5's history. Because the G5 has gotten left out of CFPs before. They're going to continue to get left out because of the changes that we have right now in college football. Guys, I mean, what do you want me to do? You want me to tell you that a G5 school deserves to be in the CFP? They absolutely do not. That's why the 12 team was invented in the first place, to cater to these schools and to cater to more 2 or 3 lost teams that got left out in CFPs in the past. They did it for the 2022s when Alabama got left out. And they should have gotten in over TCU. You don't like it, but hey, that's college football for you guys. Guys, I'm telling you right now, we had a hell of a lot better matchups with Georgia and Alabama in the CFP than what we've had with Georgia and TCU and Michigan and Washington. Guys, the last two CFPs were snooze fests. I hate to say it. I love the Michigan story. It was a great run. But guys, Michigan's back to being the same old program they were before Jim Harbaugh was there. And before that great recruiting class in 2021 and 2022 came along. Sucks to suck, guys. I mean, y'all don't want to hear it, but y'all need to. Y'all have to be real with yourselves. You have to. You have to understand that this is not the year that you want to have craziness happen. But guess what? It's going on right now. This was a year that the CFP wanted to avoid. They wanted to just smooth sail through the season, no real changes. But hey, that's how it is. Guys, let's talk about Indiana for a little bit. Yeah, Indiana lost their last game against Ohio State. Effectively, everybody's saying, well, I told you so. And they're going to go at the end of the year, and they're going to make the CFP. And then the media, and then everybody in the media is going to say, well, we told you so. We knew they'd get bounced out in the second round or in the first round. I mean, that's what we're going to come to. But, guys, that reminds me so much of 2007 Kansas. Why do I say that? When you looked at both of their schedules, the coincidence is crazy. Kansas would beat people to sleep. I mean, beat people to absolute sleep whenever they would play teams. Let me read you off a couple of scores from that Kansas team. By the way, if many of you don't remember, the head coach there, Mark Mangino. The OC, Ed Warner. And then the co-defensive coordinators were Clint Bowen and Bill Young. Ed Warner ended up being the OC over at Ohio State for about 6 years under Urban Meyer. So I'm sure many of you remember a little bit of that. Clint Bowen went on to continue to be the full-time DC for a little while. Bill Young, legendary defensive coordinator, was at the Detroit Lions for a little while, then ended up going to Miami and Oklahoma State for a little while. And let me just read off a couple scores from this Kansas team, from who they played. Their first 4 games, they played Central Michigan, Southeastern Louisiana, Toledo, and FIU for their non-conference games. Does Indiana's get any better? No, not even close. FIU, Western Illinois, at UCLA, and Charlotte. I mean, it's not a good schedule whatsoever. Honestly, I don't care though. They get their first big win against Kansas State. They get a ranked win. Whoop-de-doo. Kansas State ended up finishing 5-7 that year, by the way. So much for them. Indiana didn't have a ranked win. They didn't really have to until they beat Maryland. And that's when people really started to kind of consider them legit, because Maryland at the time was 3-1, but now they're looking at a 4-7 season with Mike Loxley. Sorry, coach. Y'all just look crap this year. But who else would be considered a decent win for Illinois? Certainly hard to tell. Nebraska? They're going to go to a bowl game this year. Should we consider them to be a decent win? Marcus Satterfield got fired. Marcus Satterfield's been fired as their head coach because offensively you can't get anything going. How about Michigan State? 5-6. Showed some signs of promise. Got a big win. Got some big wins early on in the season. Got a chance to go bowling. Big one with Rutgers coming up. Competed with Kansas as well. Michigan? No, it's year one without Jim Harbaugh. But hey, by the way, let me get that one. But what do we know? What do we know about this Indiana team? Well, they beat people to sleep. Average margin of victory for Kansas. The only close game that Kansas had during the stretch was against K-State, Colorado, and A&M. All these were a combined total of 18 points. You had a 6-point win, 5-point win, 8-point win. Then they beat Nebraska to sleep and put 76 on them. They beat up on Oklahoma State, beat up on Iowa State, and then all of a sudden they're the number 2 team in the nation. Guys, as much as y'all don't like them, if you beat people to sleep on a consistent basis, it doesn't matter what team it is. It can be freaking Iowa Central or some stupid JUCO or a D3. If you beat in-conference teams and you put them to sleep, knowing the past history that you have, you're going to get noticed. You're going to get that recognition that you've wanted, whether it be good or bad. And unfortunately for a team like Indiana, who got absolutely humbled over the weekend, it's good publicity. And they're going to cruise past Purdue unless Purdue just comes out with a signature win that they need for what could be fired Ryan Walters, who had lost, who's 1-10 this year. Who, yes, they've been competitive with Illinois. They've been competitive with Northwestern State. Guys, what are you going to do? What are you going to do for the rest of the year? We're going to look at Indiana. They're going to finish 11-1, and we're going to look at them and say, all right, good season for them. Kurt Cignetti, Coach of the Year in the Big Ten. But here's the thing. With Indiana, they beat people to sleep, but they get embarrassed. They get embarrassed by Ohio State. They look competitive for a half. They got embarrassed in the second half because of special teams miscues. So how do you respond? I don't know. Guys, be right back. Gonna take a quick break. We're going to get Chris Phillips in here in about 5 minutes. See you then. All right, we're back once again here on the program. I'm hoping that. So I'm taking care of a 1-year-old war. Finley! Where'd my dog go? Finley! Ooh, I'm low-key kind of nervous that I just stepped in dog poo-poo. But yeah. Guys, we got some sponsors. We have sponsors. I can't believe it. I'm kind of shocked myself that we have sponsors. It's pretty cool. At least I thought so. Oh, shoot. Ben. Finley. Finley. Oh, my God. What the? Come here. Come here. Well, that's funny. I left him. Yeah. Come here. By the way, it's my dog. Or I shouldn't say my dog, but it's my 1-year-old Yorkie. But yeah, he'll be I wouldn't say he'd be a frequent guest, but it's kind of one of those one-time things that you get to see him. So it's kind of cool. I thought it was kind of cool, guys. But let's get back to what's important. College football is about to be turned on its head with rivalry week, especially in the SEC. There's a lot of bias to what people think. But to me, when I look at it, it's very weird. Just seeing what's going on with all that has happened so far throughout this rivalry week. Guys, we're only just getting started. I hope you guys realize that. But, hey, it is what it is. A lot of fates are going to be decided this weekend. And what better way to cap off what is a wild college football season than with rivalry week coming up, which is amazing. I thought it was going to be really fun to get introduced to that. And, you know, that's what makes college football great. Trying to get Chris Phillips on here. There he is. Decked out in the new Prize Picks gear. I'm kind of jealous because I still want some gear. He's not giving it to me yet. But, hey, maybe he can give me some connections. But let's go ahead and bring him in. He is the host over at SEC Unfiltered, the founder. As he always says, the beauty is in the journey. At least I think that's what it is.
Beauty's in the banter.
Beauty's in the banter. And
the joy is in the journey. The beauty's in the banter. There probably is joy and beauty in both, though, man. What's up? What's up, man? Happy rivalry week.
Nothing better than that. Chris Phillips joining us from SEC Unfiltered. You can holler at them on Twitter at SEC Unfiltered. You can holler at Chris as well at ChrisPhilly19. Chris, we got a lot to talk about here as we get ready for rivalry week this upcoming Saturday. A lot to talk about around the SEC, obviously, with Mississippi State and Ole Miss coming up this Friday. We'll see if Mississippi State's defense can at least hold Ole Miss offense to under 30 to at least have a chance. But if not, we get some more highlight tape of what could be the most underrated star coming into the SEC next year, and Mike Van Buren, who has just progressively gotten better in the Jeff Lebby offense. When you look at what's at stake for the next couple of days as teams prepare for the college football playoff and their chances of getting in the 12 team, what 3-loss teams have the best opportunity, ranking them from best to worst, to get back into the CFP race?
Yeah, I think right now, and Lucas, it's which ones do I think have the best chance based off the way that the committee will select them versus who has the best chance based off who's earned it. Listen, right now, there's gambling odds on this too. So I think Alabama's got the best chance, whether they deserve it or not. I think that the committee showed that with where they had them placed, I think at number 13. Right. I think South Carolina, a lot of Gamecocks are going to want South Carolina in. I think the selection committee showed us last night South Carolina's chances are virtually zero. I mean, to still be behind Alabama and Ole Miss after they lost to Oklahoma and Florida, respectively. And I understand that, that head-to-head, it has to matter for sure. But, I think you look at the way the teams are playing down the stretch. I think you talk about most deserving. And I don't feel bad for Alabama and Ole Miss. And I don't think they deserve to get in, to be totally transparent with you. You had your path laid out. All you had to do was get to the finish line and cross the finish line, and you couldn't do it, right? So, but I think, again, based off what the committee's telling us, where they've placed these teams, I would say Alabama's got the best shot to back their way in. They need some other chaos, obviously, to take place. And listen, they got to beat Auburn. I picked Auburn to beat Alabama. So they got to beat Auburn first. But if they can do that, I have this weird sneaking suspicion that we're going to see a 9-3 Alabama potentially back their way into the playoff. I think they've got the best shot. I'd go Ole Miss number 2, South Carolina number 3. Again, I just what they're telling me now, and it's been inconsistent, and that's what pisses people off, but they're telling me that because of the head-to-head results, they are not going to elevate South Carolina over Ole Miss and Alabama. So the Gamecocks' only shot is for Ole Miss to fall to Mississippi State, Alabama to fall to Auburn, and then, again, hope for madness in front of them. That's the only way, but I'd go Bama right now, best odds of those 3 lost teams.
I think when you look at Bama too, I heard from a lot of guys middle of the season, whenever Bama had that rough stretch between South Carolina and Missouri, that Jalen Milroe was hurt. He obviously was very healthy on Saturday against Oklahoma, but what Oklahoma did was just put tons of pressure on number 4, make him try to get outside the pocket and make him throw the football. And as good as he did trying to get outside, the pressure was continually on him. And the way that Oklahoma attacked Alabama, attacked that run defense that obviously looked very vulnerable, losing majority of that interior that has usually been the strength of Alabama in the past. You can see the loss of guys like Jaheim Otis and other guys, some injury along that Alabama front 4. It really affected them. And what Oklahoma did from adjusting from a pro-style offense with Seth Luttrell to going back to more of the option game with Jackson and some unsung heroes of that Oklahoma squad. It just goes to show you the type of elevation that Oklahoma showed throughout the game. And I would say that Oklahoma could be on upset alert when they go play LSU. I think that they could have an opportunity to beat them in Baton Rouge as well. So, yeah, I agree with you, Chris, but I don't think Alabama does lose to Auburn, especially with how Peyton Thorne played in between the middle of the second to the very middle of the fourth quarter up until that overtime period. But, dude, you better watch out for Auburn. If they get off to a hot start, they got to continue that trend.
This is Auburn's best chance to win in Tuscaloosa since probably 2014. A decade. It's been quite a while. So, but yeah, to your point, Oklahoma's got that big one at LSU. That one's kind of flying under the radar because it's not a rivalry game on rivalry weekend. But, that's the biggest thing, man. When you look at the playoff, and I know people, we had a big discussion about it, and we go live every Tuesday night or whenever the rankings drop, and we debate it and everything. And it's very easy to, with the way the committee has been, it's very easy to nitpick and dissect and, again, have the banter that you were mentioning. But there's so much football left. I think this thing is very much far from settled. We were sitting here talking a week ago about, this is what the playoff looks like. We'll see what happens, though. Long way to go. And, who could have predicted some of the chaos we saw? So there's going to be upsets this weekend. Rivalry weekend especially is going to spark, I think, some very unexpected results. And it's just going to continue to shake up the college football playoff race. My biggest thing, though, man, and, again, I don't know if we're going to spend, I don't want to spend all day talking about the playoff and the committee and stuff. But what I've learned to this point, and I think what they're telling us is strength of schedule means nothing. It means nothing. Like, there is no point in playing anybody worth a damn. Because all they're doing is bunching up the undefeateds, the 1-loss teams, the 2-loss teams, the 3-loss teams, and we're pretending like it's all equal. I mean, there's such people want to talk about SEC bias. It's almost like we got anti-bias. They're being biased against the SEC because they don't want to seem SEC biased. Like, why are we pretending like the schedule Notre Dame, Penn State, and Indiana have played are the same as the schedules Georgia, Tennessee, even Alabama, even Ole Miss, even South Carolina have played? Why are we doing that? I'm not saying go back to computers, but you're being ranked based off purely your record, and that is it. It has nothing to do with any other metric. How many wins and losses, that's it. But it's strength of schedule plays no part in it. So it feels like nonsense, honestly.
Dude, if strength of schedule played a part, Penn State, Indiana, and Notre Dame would be outside the top 12. I don't think Indiana would even be ranked right now because they're just beating people.
You could justify Miami.
And then they got embarrassed by Ohio State.
You could justify Miami not being in the top 12. You know, they're talking about on the show last night that Georgia Tech. You know, Georgia's got Georgia Tech this week. We'll see how they fare because that'll be a common opponent because Miami lost to Georgia Tech. I'm like, I don't need to see Georgia against Georgia Tech for me to know they're a better team. I don't. You know, I really don't. I don't know, man.
Miami's got no defense.
Some of the convos are crazy. Some of the convos they have are absolutely crazy. But
buddy, the combos they've had throughout this entire season has been insane.
Yeah, the season itself's been crazy. I get it.
And they want to talk about SEC bias. History shows that the SEC has proven their strength since the year of 2006 when the BCS really took off and became its own standalone national championship. 15 years the SEC has participated in the national championship. Thrice we have seen two SEC teams match up. Twice has happened with the same two teams, with Alabama and Georgia. I would not be surprised if that ends up happening again this year. It just depends on what the committee decides. But if they do decide to leave a 3-loss team out the CFP, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be extremely pissed knowing that down the stretch you got a 3-loss team in South Carolina, a 3-loss team in Ole Miss, and a 3-loss team in Alabama that can beat Indiana, Miami, SMU, can beat any Big 12, any ACC, and maybe even any Big 10 team in college football. Maybe not Ohio State or Oregon, but that's a story for another day. Chris, you'll be heading out to Longhorn Nation, College Station for Texas and Texas A&M. What are you most excited about whenever you do travel there? Because I know we talked last week on Texas Sports Unfiltered, and you were really excited about some of the food there. But what else on the game day aspect are you excited about?
Yeah, so I was in Austin this previous weekend, which was a blast. I mean, the city was incredible. I crawled about every inch of 6th Street, I think you can imagine. And then the game was great. DKR was beautiful. The campus was amazing. Texas is awesome. I can't wait to get back to Austin. But specifically for this weekend, College Station, man. I mean, I'm every weekend I'm excited to see it all and take it in. But yeah, selfishly, man, I'm excited for the game. I mean, the game itself, the spectacle that will be, getting to experience this rivalry, 13 years in the making. Obviously, last time they played, 2011, to have the opportunity to go and, again, take it all in and create content and just be there and, enjoy it as a college football fan and as a sports fan. I'm selfishly, man, I'm so ready to experience the atmosphere. I've never been to Aggie Land, never been to Kyle Field, never heard the volume in that building. And, I've been to Death Valley. I've been to Neyland. I've been to Sanford. I've been to Williams-Brice. I've been to the Swamp. I've been to some really cool places this year, Jordan-Hare. And I'm really happy to say that after Saturday, I can say that I've been to Kyle Field and what's going to be, I really will be surprised if I leave and say anything other than, Lucas, it was the best atmosphere I experienced all year. So I'm excited for the game, the atmosphere, sitting with over 100,000 people in the stadium and just taking it all in, man. I'm sure the tailgating will be great too. I'm sure College Station as a town will be cool to see, but this weekend's all about the game. I mean, it's all about the game. It's all about that showdown. What more could you ask for, man? So I'm very humbled and honored to be there. I appreciate, again, our friends over at Prize Picks, who are the official partners and sponsors of the SEC Unfiltered Tour. Without them, we couldn't do it. So, yeah, man, I'm just – the game itself is what I'm most looking forward to from this weekend.
Chris, you talked about you being on tour. I'll be going on tour next year, and I'll be heading to a lot of UFL games, going to be traveling around, going to be going to San Antonio, going to Houston, going to Birmingham, doing a little bit of spring football.
Nice. That'll be fun, dude. I mean, listen, the tour's been incredible, man. It's the final stop for us. It'll be week 14 in a row for me. So, yeah, it's been awesome, man. I mean, even today, it's interesting. We get to the end of the season. I mean, even today, we, just recording our final game previews, regular season game previews. It's the work that, our team has done has been incredible. And again, the tour itself has been a blast and a blessing. And I've gotten to meet so many cool people and interact with so many great human beings and see so many awesome venues and experience so many great games and rush the field 4 times. And again, I think we're destined for a classic this weekend, man. It's only fitting.
When you look at the game itself, when you look at Texas and Texas A&M, what does Texas A&M need to do to recover from an absolute meltdown that they had last week in Jordan-Hare Stadium?
Well, I think what you can't do, Lucas, is get so caught up and lost in like the week to week. From the standpoint of this college football season has been anything but A plus B equals C. So just because something happened last weekend, it doesn't mean, well, that happened last weekend, so that's who this team is now, and that's what they're going to do this weekend. I mean, we've seen this season, man. It's a crapshoot. Like, we do our very best to analyze games, break them down, predict them, but this season has been so just week to week. So I think what Texas A&M has got to do, man, they got to win at the point of attack. They got to be able to run the football offensively. They got to be able to get Marcel Reed in some advantageous situations, probably get him out of the pocket, let him use his athletic ability. Defensively, they got to disrupt Quinn Ewers. I mean, it's pretty simple. I mean, they got to make him uncomfortable, bottom line, right? Force him into some mistakes. I mean, I think Quinn – I like Quinn. I think Quinn even probably catches too much hell from his own fan base, but I think at times it's justified a little bit. I think the shots might be there for Quinn too. Can he hit them? But I think that front seven, you got to get after Quinn Ewers, and you got to bank on the fact that he's going to give up the football a time or two, going to make some mistakes that you're going to be able to take advantage of. And I think you got to start fast, Lucas. I think you got to start early, keep the crowd in it, like get the crowd in it early. They're going to be in it, obviously, but keep them in it, keep them loud, continue to make them a factor, because I think the 12th man truly can be a factor in regards to you, especially you talk about communication on Saturday night, because I think a lot of this game is going to come down to which of these two offensive lines, is best able to withstand a really talented front seven they're going up against. And if you got communication issues going on with the volume in the building, you're having to do the tap of the center's leg or what have you, that's going to give an advantage to the D-line. They're going to be able to time that up pretty easily. So I would say run the football, pressure the quarterback, force some turnovers. Listen, this ain't a complicated game, Lucas. Run it, stop it, don't turn it over. You'll win the football game. So I think A&M's got to get back to doing those things. And then the athleticism of Marcel Reed has to be a factor for the Aggies to move the football consistently against one of the best defenses in the country. So I did go on record, Lucas. I picked Texas A&M. I think those things will happen. Listen, it's been the kind of year in college football, man, where the team that's at home at night with their backs against the wall, it feels like every time they've shown up and played their best. And it feels like to me it's lining up for that. I mean, I'm not picking A&M solely just because of the home crowd, but I do think that's a major factor in this game. I think Texas A&M, I think especially Mike Elko and that defense will bounce back in a big way from what we saw last weekend at Jordan-Hare, and it'll look more like what we've seen from A&M throughout the rest of the season. I think they get a really tight win down to the wire, but I do think A&M finds a way to get it done at home and punch their ticket to the SEC title.
I can't wait to see more of that razzle-dazzle that A&M pulled, because if you remember, the very last play of the game initially went from Reed taking the shotgun. I think it was Terry Bussey that took the direct snap and tried to go to the corner of the end zone. It was a perfect play design, but he just flat out drops the football. So I think you got to implement more of that if you're Colin Klein in this offense, and you got to get Terry Bussey the football as much as he can. He's a young guy. This guy was one of the best athletes in the country.
There's ghosts at Jordan-Hare, man. It's the only way to explain it. So that's why I'm like, I'm not going to draw conclusions from – I mean, we've seen Jordan-Hare show its teeth many a time. That setting, you know, I mean, it's one of the best in college football when it really gets going. So, again, I'll tell you this, man, whether Texas or Texas A&M wins, this Lone Star Showdown, in my opinion, I could be wrong, but in my opinion, it's destined to be a classic. I don't see any way this game is anything other than a classic. So 13 years in the making. It would be a shame if it wasn't. I think it will be.
Last time these two teams met back in, I think, 2011, it was an all-time classic.
Yep, Justin Tucker with the game winner.
Shout out Justin Tucker, arguably the most – I think at least he was the most accurate field goal kicker in the NFL until he got overtaken by someone else. But it's going to be a great game down in College Station. Any surprises that we need to expect for this upcoming weekend in the SEC? Maybe some knockouts for CFP races. Anything of that regard?
I mean, I think South Carolina is going to beat Clemson at Clemson. That's, and I think they beat them by double digits. That's one that I've got. I mean, I said Auburn over Alabama. I'm taking a bit of a flyer, but I got Auburn over Alabama. You know, I mean, I think the two Friday night games, I think the underdog covers the spread. I think Georgia Tech plus 19.5, and I think Mississippi State plus 26. I think those numbers are just way too big. Way too big. Outside of that, I mean, listen, I think Miami-Syracuse, you got to watch for that one. I think Syracuse absolutely could beat Miami. Upset the established order a bit. So, I mean, listen, there's going to be chaos. There's going to be chaos, Lucas. It's inevitable, right? It is truly inevitable that we are going to have chaos. Hey, another big one. And I'm not picking it, obviously. I don't think it's going to happen. But what about Tennessee Vanderbilt in Nashville? Game's kind of flying under this. Tennessee Vandy's the best game that nobody's talking about.
No.
Diego Pavia and Clark Lee, and I think Tennessee's physicality, they will be able to win that football game. But Vandy's shown us time and time again, you know what I mean? Like, they love being in this position, and they've played the role of giant killers many a time. So, and I tell you this, if they win, Vandy ought to erect a statue of Diego Pavia. I'm not even joking. You beat Tennessee and Bama in the same season at Vanderbilt, dude should get a statue. So, again, man, I think there's going to be chaos. It's not a matter of if there's chaos. It's where said chaos will take place. So, it's going to be another wacky weekend of college ball. I love rivalry weekend. It's one of my favorite weekends of the year. And, again, crazy to think that we're at the final weekend of the regular season. But, here we are, man. So, a lot to be determined this weekend, no doubt.
I think James Pierce Jr., I'm still reiterating, is still the best player on the defensive side of the ball in college football. You can say all that you want about other guys that are out there, like maybe Billy Bowman, maybe, some other guys that we haven't really called, maybe Braden Swinson, maybe Wester or Whit Weeks, anybody else like that. But, I mean, it's hard to say when this guy has literally just turned it on since SEC play began for Tennessee back on September 21st. I mean, 7.5 sacks. You've been a consistent force on the front four, and you're going to be a disruptor, and you got an opportunity to do a lot more against Vanderbilt. I will say this, Chris. It's going to be close at the start of the game. It's going to be about like what we saw last week with Vandy and LSU. It's going to be that type of game. I don't think Nico Iamaleava goes over 250. I think the over-under for him should be around 239.5 or something like that. Bet the under on that one. He hasn't really thrown for over 200 yards for the majority of the season, but I think Vanderbilt finds a way to keep this one close going into the fourth quarter, but it's going to come down to who has the ball last.
It very well could. I mean, we'll see. I think Tennessee's physicality, I do fear they might be able to push Vandy around. But to your point, man, I mean, again, I love Diego Pavia, trust in Pavia, and doubt him at your own risk. So there's going to be – that's the beautiful thing about rivalry week, man. There's a lot of close games, a lot of down-to-the-wire games. So I would expect more of the same. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Want to thank our good friends over at High Roller Casino. They feature a generous 400% or 200% first deposit bonus up to $4,000 so that you can choose the welcome bonus that suits you the best. But since we like to pamper our players, they will also add 100 free spins to your account the day after a qualifying first deposit. So they have different bonus amounts, 400% up to a $4,000 first deposit, 200% and 100% for up to $1,000 for your next 4 deposits, only with a minimum discount of $250 and $50 for the next 2. Just use one of their 3 bonus codes, HR400, HR200, HR100, for 100 free spins on Golden Dragon Inferno for both of those. Shout out to High Roller Casino for sponsoring us here on the Nightcap. Couple more questions for you, Chris, before we let you go, brother. I know I got a pretty busy day ahead of me. I think that when you look at rivalry week as a whole, I think this is probably the most anticipated rivalry week that we've had in college football over the last 20 years because of all the stakes with expanded playoff, with all the upsets that's happened. I've said it before. I'm going to continue to say it. This is 2007. This might be better than 2007 with all the upsets, all the years of the underdogs that we've had. When you look at college football as a whole, not just in the SEC, but as a whole, which game are you most excited about apart from the one you're already going to, and why?
Yeah, I was going to say the one I'm going to easily is the game of the weekend and one of the games of the year. So that would be it. Outside of that one, though, the one I'm most excited for, I mean – dude, I got to go South Carolina Clemson. There's personal reasons there. I love that rivalry. It's one of the best in the country, and there's stakes. There are major stakes in that game. I mean, dude, outside of A&M and Texas, I mean, what game has more stakes? I mean, you know, they're both fighting for their college football playoff lives. You know, Clemson's obviously hoping for an upset in Miami, Syracuse, so they can go to the ACC championship. But I mean, you know, they're trying to potentially be 10-2 and get in the playoffs. South Carolina's trying to finish 9-3, get in the playoffs. So that one's got a lot of stakes to it. So yeah, I'd probably go South Carolina Clemson. I mean, I don't think Ohio State Michigan is much of a game.
Not anymore.
Not this year. I'm saying. I'm trying to think across. I mean, you're always excited for the Iron Bowl. You're always really excited for that one. I mean, outside of that, am I missing some big ones here? Like, I don't know. I mean, I think South Carolina Clemson is as good as it gets this weekend outside of A&M Texas.
Hey, shout out Harvard and Yale.
Oh, Harvard and Yale. Yeah, that's a good one.
No big Crimson. Yeah,
that's a good one. No, I'm gonna stick with it, man. Like I said, Gamecocks and Tigers is gonna be a lot of fun Saturday.
Chris, my co-host Southern Charm Sports' Scout says that your beard is on fleek today.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I work really hard at it. I don't know. Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered joining us over on the College Football Nightcap. A little early edition of it today. Chris, thanks so much for joining in again, brother, and we will see you very soon, my man.
Lucas, you're the man. I appreciate it. Y'all keep up the good work.
Chris Phillips joining us today on the College Football Nightcap. Appreciate his support, and thank you to our friends over at High Roller Casino for sponsoring this video. Guys, we're going to keep it rolling on for a little bit longer for the next hour, and we're going to continue to keep it rolling here on the College Football Nightcap. Oh, by the way, LSU just released their uni combos for this weekend against Oklahoma. Am I happy? Not really. Last home game of the year, and you're going to pull this out. Not going to lie, them gloves are kind of nice. Other than that, it's not that great. Just being honest with you. Guys. Excuse me. But guys, here's the thing with South Clemson. I'm glad Chris mentioned it. Is that when you have a game that like this is probably the most intense Camelo Bowl that we're going to have in a while. I don't think we've ever had a Camelo Bowl that was like this. Guys, you have to understand how big of a game we're talking when you talk about this game. We're talking college football playoff that's going to be on the line for today. We're talking all of that. By the way, let me know what you guys' thoughts are on the Nightcap hotline. 601-980-1621, 601-980-1621. Guys, we're talking about a big game that's ahead of us. We really are. Because it's very important that we really consider what's going to happen in the next few years in college football. This is a game that's going to define both of these coaches' tenures. It really is. And by the time that the season ends, we're going to end up having more teams that could be contenders. If Clemson ends up losing, we'll have to see. I don't know what's going to happen on the stretch. I'm really excited, though. Guys, we're going to wrap it up here on the College Football Nightcap. Join us out here for Friday's edition. Well, I said say Friday. Join us for Saturday's afternoon edition of the College Football Nightcap. I'm going to be gone for Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. I will be in Shreveport. Probably might go post something on my story. But, guys, thank you guys for, once again, paying attention and listening. And final audience count today, 39 of you decided to show up here. Guys, I'm excited for the future with a brand new setup that we have. I'm really excited for what's going to happen for us here at the College Football Nightcap. Guys, y'all have a great rest of the day. Have a happy Thanksgiving, and we will see you all next time on the Nightcap.